So welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Good to see you, Connor. Great to have met you in Michigan in person finally for the first time a couple weeks ago at the convention. And no, I was not offended that you approached me because surely this guy is old enough to remember the creation of the Fed. I'm sure that's not exactly what you meant.
No. Let's talk about your experience and your qualifications before we really get into the meat and potatoes here. Why are you qualified to talk about this subject?
The one thing more boring than talking about the Fed is talking about me and my background. I can assure you of that. I was a professional economist for probably 20 years before becoming a police officer. I worked for a couple of banks in the 80s. When I got out of business school in commercial banking, and then went back to grad school, studied economics, earned graduate degrees from the George Washington University, which is what we used to call, and some places still call, the Rational Expectations School, which is sort of a descendant of the Chicago School of Thought, which of course is an offspring of Austrian school thinking. So I was very lucky and indeed privileged to be able to go to such a place and studied, the full panoply, right? Microeconomics and macroeconomics. My specialty was finance and international economics, but went to work for the federal government after that, a couple agencies, international agencies. I worked for the White House for a couple of years. Went to work as a free market advocate of sorts for the American Bankers Association. I worked for them as an economist for a bunch of years. And then a buddy of mine and I had our own business educating bankers for a long time. I also, along the way, taught economics not only at George Washington, where I was in school. It's how I paid my way through school, of course, like so many youngsters do. But I had the opportunity to teach at Nova, Southeastern University in Florida, and at Barry University in Miami. Terrific experiences. And so I guess in that sense, I've been around the block. I've done some research on the banking industry that had been referenced by the Fed. I've met with the Fed board in their austere boardroom itself. It can be a bit of an intimidating place, even if on some level you might think it's a clown show. But once you're actually in the room, I can assure you that they do their best at being as intimidating as possible. So I worked as a civil servant economist, not as a political appointee. Gotcha. In the George Herbert Walker Bush administration. That's going way back. Okay. W's dad, in the days when he said, "Read my lips, no new taxes," and then of course went back on that pledge, and it was like, oh my God, what are we dealing with? So, yeah, I've had my share of political disappointments.